New videos every day.
Life, wisdom, psyche truth, massage.
Hi everybody, this is Gregory Gorey with bodyworkmasters.com, and today we're going to be doing some work to help with migraines using trigger point therapy. So first thing we're going to do is we're just going to come up this center line. I'm going to move inch by inch along this ridge, and what I'd like you to do is to tell me if any of these spots are more tender. Sometimes when you're treating somebody with migraines, they'll have lots, they'll be loaded with spots. I have no idea if we're going to find a bunch of spots, but I'm applying not a huge amount of pressure, but I'm pressing down pretty hard. So I just want to go inch right there. Okay, so we found a trigger point, and I'm going to push in. Do you feel it at that amount of pressure? Okay, so we're going to hang out here 5, 6, 7, 10 seconds. Now, does that feel like it's getting less intense, more intense, or staying the same? Less intense. Okay, so that's exactly what we want. That trigger point released. Now I'm going to come off and I'm going to do the exact same thing, but this time I'm going to go even harder, and you tell me when it starts to feel a little tender again. So increasing my pressure from last time, right there. So again, hanging out, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And is that starting to diminish? Good. So we're going to come up again to the next point. And basically you're trying to examine every square inch, so you want to kind of make a grid and keep track of where you're going. So I did a line here, I did a line here, now I'm doing a line here. Coming down, and there's a lot of communication with your clients when you're doing this sort of work. So I've come down to the edge of the skull. We're going to get to the edge of this temporalis here. Right there. Okay. So we're hanging out somewhere between 7 and 10, 12 seconds. Is that starting to release? Good. So I'm coming off. I'm going to go even harder this time. When it releases, your client will either feel like it's not as intense, or it'll feel like I'm not pressing as hard. So they'll just think, oh, you let up your pressure, but really you're maintaining a consistent pressure. If we find a trigger point that doesn't release within our 7 to 12 second time frame, then we need to come off and go back into it with less pressure, because we want to find the sweet spot where her nervous system actually lets go of that pain referral pattern. So I'm coming in, and is that tender at that amount of pressure? No, so I'm going to go, this was the same spot that just released, so I'm going to go even harder. If it's, I'm not going to press with all my might into this spot, but it's pretty intense, and if she doesn't have a trigger point at that level of pressure, I don't need to go any harder. Is that tender? Okay. So we're hanging out. Is that starting to let go? Staying the same? Letting go? Okay. All right. So we're going to come. We can do this 3 or 4 times. For the sake of brevity, I'm going to do each of these trigger points twice that I find. So coming down again. All right, so we did from here to here. I'm going to turn the head and do this side in a minute, but first I'm going to work the other side of this ridge. So not only is there a lot of communication that happens with the client when you're doing trigger point work, but you also need to be cognizant and track what areas you have released so that you don't miss anything. So we did this line, Moving 2 fingers over, I'm going to do that again. Or this one. You're going to let me know. And that line seems to be all clear. One more line here. This side seems to be clear of trigger points. So now we're going to work this area. I'm going to just start right here. That's tender. Okay, so coming in. Is that releasing, staying the same, or getting more intense?
Releasing.
Releasing, okay, coming off. We're going to do it again, slightly more pressure. Tender at that amount?
Yes.
Okay. Hanging out. And is that starting to let go? Or staying the same? Letting go. Okay. So we did that. We're going to make a line out this way, and we're going to do the same thing out here. So coming to the next spot. All that was clear. So as you're doing this, kind of envision that you're doing a small grid pattern. So we did from here to here one section, now we're doing all of this section. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. We'll turn the head and we'll just go inch by inch. Tender right there. Releasing, okay. Backing off, let the nervous system calm down. Do the same thing, a little more pressure. Okay. And is that starting to let go? Or staying the same? Now it is, okay. Excellent. Coming over to the next spot. Okay. You can also kind of try to keep in mind where the trigger points that you found were and come back to them later. So far we found 4 trigger points, 2 down here, 1 right there and 1 right there. In a normal session, after I'd gone through that, I would try to reinvestigate and make sure that all those trigger points were actually cleared. Tender. Better, same, worse, different? Same. So we just hung out for about 12 seconds. That one didn't clear. So we're going to come back to this same spot, this time with less pressure. So I'm going to slowly increase my pressure, and I want you to let me know when it first becomes tender, okay? So very gradual increase in pressure, and she's right there. So yeah, less pressure than last time. I'm going to see if it clears with this amount of pressure. Is that starting to let go, staying the same, or getting more intense? That one's starting to let go. All right, so let go, coming off. Going to do it again, this time with more pressure. Letting go, okay. So that one, I used less pressure than all of the others, so I'm going to make a mental note to especially come back to this guy. I want to give the trigger point and the nervous system a moment or two to calm down. I'm going to go to other areas, but I want to make sure that this guy gets cleared at the same depth of pressure that I was using to clear the other trigger points. back to it, a little more pressure. Letting go, staying the same, let go, okay. Coming up to the next line on our grid, our internal mental grid that we're charting out here on her scalp. Okay, so forehead is cleared. This is all cleared to here. We can also come, this is a common place for trigger points. We're going to come up onto the ridge here. I'm not actually going to poke into her eye. My pressure is up into the bone. Tender. So I'm using virtually no pressure, and it's tender. So you tell me when it starts to get tender, at what level of pressure? Tender, okay. So right now I'm probably using 1.5 pounds of pressure, maybe a pound. Is that starting to let go? Good. I'm actually, because that one was so hot, because she felt it so quickly at a light depth of pressure, I'm going to finish this ridge and then I'm going to come back to that. Is that tender? That's tender as well. Starting to let go. Good. About there. Tender as well. So, yeah, this ridge is apparently loaded with trigger points for her. Letting go. No? Okay. So those spots aren't. And come tender right there. Is that extra hot? Your body kind of, your body react. Is that starting to let go? Or staying the same? No, it's letting go. Okay. Here. Tender. Another thing to be cognizant of is if you're dealing with people that do get migraines or regular headaches, when you're stimulating these areas, it can create headache-like symptoms, and your client might start to wig out that, oh my God, I'm about to get a migraine. Just need to reassure them that as long as the trigger points are clearing, it's actually a good thing that they're being mimicked, because you're clearing out that noxious input. Good. So we found 3 trigger points here. We're going to hit them all again. Released. Tender. Released. That one's okay. We're going to come back to this one that we knew was hot. Tender. Released. We're going to do it again, because I'm using very little pressure, which is fine. If it's a really intense trigger point, you need to start off slow, and each time that you do it, you'll be able to use slightly more pressure. So we're going to do one more round here. Released. Okay, so now I'm starting to use pressure that's more in line with what I was doing in the other parts of her scalp. Tender. Released. Okay. I'm sorry. Here we go. Is that tender? No. Okay. That one is. Okay. Let it go. Okay. And because she's got so many trigger points in here, she's also a good candidate to do an eye release technique where you can actually release the muscles of the eye. That'll be for another video though. So we're going to come tender. Released, okay? Go like this. Okay. Tender. Released. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. For the sake of brevity, we're going to show the rest of the scalp and jaw and mouth in another video. I hope you enjoyed. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and check us out at bodyworkmasters.com. See you next time.